So, I didn't want to mention this in the main video because it's a bit up for speculation if it matters at all for some people. Uh, but the bit in the beginning about rich elites gathering in Switzerland, openly talking about the 600-page global initiative that is now known as the Reset, mostly known about because of a law in 2017 about transparency about Swiss wealth via the International Convention on the Automatic Sharing of Banking Information, end quote. As historically, there's been disturbing connections to wealth stolen from Holocaust survivors by Nazis to Switzerland. Um, but the transparency law was due to leaked info detailing 30,000 credit issues involved in drugs, war crimes, and sex trafficking. Never mind the Nazi corruption. In general, this foundation for wealthy people coming together in Switzerland is not a good look, even if we write it off as coincidental that it happens to be in the same location. So, the Great Reset book talks about the 2008 recession that caused the reason for the elites to come together. And I assume Klaus Schwab is okay with stakeholder capitalism in as much as it controls consumption. A fear in the book, which I failed to mention, that it focuses on, is environmentally taking advantage of COVID, which is called, and this is after lockdown consumption, called revenge spending, that compensates for the lack of spending and going out into the world by citizens, which is what stakeholder capitalism might reduce or enhance. And from what I've seen, in my opinion, it's enhanced it. And things like Temu are probably a COVID recovery mechanic for the economy. Anyway, the Reset book authors go into empathetic reasoning for the Black community. Despite progress, there are people who don't see it. Um, but when I lived in poverty for 8 years, I definitely justified it because I had certain things I had to live, and it could be worse. Obviously, nobody should have to live like that. Anyways, that's a little off topic. And in my opinion, the author Klaus Schwab should know this. In the book, How All Politics Became Reproductive Politics, um, it talks about the myth of welfare queens and breeding machines using the system, thus crippling the image of the welfare system for everyone else, and how during the 2008 recession it introduced financial punishments called subprime loans to lower welfare income communities. Quote, many studies have shown that blacks and Hispanics disproportionately received subprime loans and lost their homes due to foreclosure. For example, over the period of 2004 to 2008, African Americans and Hispanic borrowers were 1.6 times as likely as non Hispanic white borrowers to receive a subprime loan. End quote. So while the authors of The Great Reset virtue signal about the black communities, he and other elites are responsible for the destruction of the livelihoods. And this is generationally felt into the current political landscape, sort of how Democrats lost the Arab vote since the 90s to Trump in 2024. So too did Hispanics and African Americans vote for Trump, or at least partially were responsible for voting for Trump, as Kamala Harris switched more blue Republican, as old guard figures like Bush, Reagan, Cheney, etc., gave their energy to her to defeat Trump. But it wasn't good enough. It probably wasn't a good look for the Democrats to lean right more openly, as Trump tried to come off more of a strongman against the status quo and being the main driver of everyone's skepticism or paranoia about fake news and globalism. Of course, it's even more off topic about who's to blame for Trump and how we got here in the first place. That'll be for a different video, of course. All right. I hope you like that. Like and subscribe.